Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to the February 25th, 2025 meeting of the Calvert County Board of Commissioners. At this time, I'd like to ask Pastor Holland if he would come forward to give us an invocation.
Father God, we thank you so much that we can be gathered here this morning. Lord, we praise you for all the blessings that you have given, for the way that you have led, guided, and Lord, provided. Lord, I pray that you bless this time that we have to discuss the things that are going on in Calvert County. Lord, that you bring wisdom and guidance to those who are dealing with our schools, to those who are leading in various areas of our county. Lord, we pray that you continue to bring blessing and prosperity. Lord, correct us where we get off track, but Lord, lead us in your righteousness and in your wisdom. I pray your blessings upon this time, and Lord, may all things be done to glorify and honor you. I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Holland.
Thank you.
Don't you all have a car show in the spring, summer?
We are, yes.
What is it?
Father's Day car show.
Father's Day Car Show,
Nice.
the Baptist Church in Dunkirk.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us today. Next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Does anybody have any corrections or additions to the agenda as presented?
I move that we approve and adopt the agenda as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as submitted. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So I have a couple public services announcements today. The Calvert County Parks and Recreation is continuing their youth mentoring program this spring. The program is designed for children ages 10 to 14 that live in our community. Participants will enjoy interactive sessions that build life skills, promote good citizenship, and encourage health and wellness through fun educational activities. The program runs for 10 weeks, and it starts in March and runs through May. They meet once a week from 6 to 8 p.m. For more information, you can go to www.calvertcountymaryland.gov/youth-mentor. The other one I have is that it's that time of year. Some of our local farmers have what they call community-supported agriculture, which is a CSA. You sign up, and then once a week or once a month, you get food delivered or provided for you. If you look at the ag website for Calvert County, you can see those farmers that have that program running, and now is the time to sign up. You can visit www.calvertag.com/CSA, and that will provide you with all the participating farms. And last but not least, we have an animal of the week. Morning.
Morning. My name's Mike. I'm with the Linda Kelly Animal Shelter, and today I brought in Pecan. He is 3 years old, and he's been at the shelter for about 4 weeks now.
He's gorgeous.
Yeah, he's very, very easygoing too. Yeah.
He's very friendly. I was down there petting him. He's very, very
Yeah,
friendly.
I have yet to meet a person that he just does not love.
Oh, Marty, look, he wants to go home.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
You know,
I
sometimes they pick Marty, so what can we do? I mean, you know, it's you know.
I'm not gonna stop him.
There's no fees.
No
fees.
yeah, no
We-
fees today, Marty. And look, his instincts seem to be pretty good, so you just might have to go with it.
Yeah. I always tell people he's had a lot of interest, and I tell him like, I think if you took him home, he would just fit right in. He's just the most easygoing, loving dog. I mean, he gets the zoomies like any other 3-year-old dog. Gets in a little bit of trouble, but that's why we love him.
Let us know next week, Marty, how he worked out, okay?
Not to put you on the spot.
I hear he's paper trained too, Marty.
In case you got any papers laying around or anything.
I will say maybe the best selling point with him is that he is fully house trained.
Good deal.
He's the cleanest dog that we have at the shelter, and that's always a plus.
Yeah, good dog.
He does look sad. Look at him, poor little fella.
Say heading for a month, you say?
Yeah, for about
Yeah.
a month. And I'm surprised when he came, I was like, he's going to be gone in a day.
Yeah.
But he's still there, so
Yeah.
figured I'd bring him in today.
Yeah, good deal.
He doesn't even look like he barks a lot or anything.
If you put him in a cage, yeah, he
Okay.
will. Put him in a cage or kennel, he doesn't really like that. He has some separation anxiety, but
Sure,
we all have a little
sure.
bit of flaws.
Well, it's a little traumatic, you know.
Yeah.
And what's his name?
His name's Pecan,
Pecan.
or Pecan, however you want to say it.
All right. Well, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck. So the next item on the agenda is we have a proclamation to celebrate National Engineers Week. Commissioner Ireland.
Professor, you want to say a few words? And
Yes, I would like to say a few words. Thank you.
Make sure you speak into the microphone, please.
Yeah.
And it will come up. Squeeze the handle.
There we go.
Can you hear me? Is that what? Oh, that high. Thank you. So I guess we can start introducing ourselves. I'm Joseph Bowling. I'm the
You gotta speak into the microphone.
chair at the College of Southern Maryland in the Mathematics and Engineering Department, and I've got two engineering students joining me.
Hi, I'm Michael York. I'm an electrical engineering student.
you come forward, Michael.
Come on.
Sure thing.
Yep, come on up.
Hi, good morning. My name is August Zimmerman. I graduated from Calvert High School just down the road, and I'm looking to go into mechanical engineering.
All right, come on forward, August. Would you like to say some words about your program at CSM?
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I apologize for reading from a script. I'm a last-minute
Okay.
fill-in. So thank you for recognizing the efforts of our CSM engineering students with this proclamation during National Engineers Week. This year's theme is Design Your Future. This year's theme is both a call to action and a celebration of the limitless possibilities in engineering. It invites us to dream boldly, innovate relentlessly, and create a future shaped by our collective ingenuity. At CSM, we have a robust engineering program that prepares students for their transfer to top engineering universities in the country. We are excited about our unique partnership with the University of Maryland Clark School of Engineering and Pax Rivers Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division, in which students can find a seamless transition and scholarship assistance along with internships and potential employment opportunities in one pathway. As coordinator of the partnership, that's the person that was supposed to be here, I want to invite all who are interested into our annual Night of Engineering, which will take place on March 24th at the USMSM Smart Building down in California, Maryland. And we want to once again say thank you for the opportunity to be here and to speak in front of the commissioners.
Well, thank you. Come on up. We actually have an engineer of our own that's been employed with the county for some time, and prior to being a county employee, he worked elsewhere. JR, would you care to share your education and where you started, and just fill these guys in on what they can expect, moving forward?
Sure, no problem. I'm Jared Cosgrove, Director of Public Works. I've been in the engineering field for 25 years now. I actually graduated from CSM with an associate degree in engineering with the University of Maryland James Clark School of Engineering. So, you're starting on a good path with CSM. They got a good program there. I spent 19 years in the private sector working for a local engineering firm here in Calvert County doing, development projects throughout Southern Maryland. Then I chose to move over to the county and help, the county move forward with, building and maintaining our infrastructure throughout. I know we got a mechanical student in electrical. Of course, I'm a civil guy, so of course I think civil is most important. You can't get to the building without the roads, so, just a thought, but, you're all on the right path, It's good to see young people moving into engineering. If you got an eye or a keen for either development or construction or anything mechanical, it's a good field to be in. So I wish you all good luck. Thank you.
JR, thank you.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it very much. I'm going to read your proclamation. Whereas engineers apply scientific knowledge and innovation to meet society's needs and solve complex challenges, from designing efficient infrastructure to rebuilding communities after disasters. And whereas engineering is often called the invisible profession, as nearly everything we use daily has been engineered, yet the work of engineers often goes unnoticed. And whereas National Engineers Week, founded in 1951, promotes awareness of engineering careers and the importance of math, science, and technology education. And whereas a strong and diverse engineer workforce is vital to innovation, economic growth, and addressing future technological challenges. And whereas the College of Southern Maryland, Maryland's engineer pathways are designed for students to transfer to four-year institutions to complete, they got me on this one, Katie, I'm going to get you, a baccalaureate degree.
I'm sorry, could you say it again? I missed that part.
Is that bachelorette?
I'm sorry, okay, so it's misspelled, I feel better, okay, folks? degree in a variety of engineering disciplines. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Calvert County Board of County Commissioners recognizes February 16th through 22nd, 2025 as National Engineers Week. Be it further proclaimed, the Board of County Commissioners, along with the College of Southern Maryland, encourages all citizens to acknowledge the essential contributions of engineers. Given under our hands and seal this 25th day of February, 2025. I'm gonna look that up, by the way, just so you all know.
Yeah. Thank you.
You guys would hold that, or we get a picture here.
Three, two, one. One more. Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Good luck. Yeah, get your PE, come back and see us. Right, JR?
It's right. It's at higher education.
It was spelled right, I just couldn't pronounce it, that's the verdict.
So, Commissioner Arlen, Commissioner Nutter told me one time, I'm like, what do you do when you can't pronounce it in your mid thing? He goes, just skip it and keep rolling right on.
You just stutter for a minute.
Yeah.
It was a long word.
Next item on the agenda is old business. Office of the County Attorney Performance Audit of Calvert County's Public Schools. Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, sir. I don't feel, John Norris, County Attorney, I don't feel worthy to be here, though. This project was really an initiative by the Board of County Commissioners that Ms. Ruthie Buckler undertook to make sure that the work got done. Unfortunately, she's not able to be with us, so I'll be presenting here at the table today. Our contractors that were hired by the state will be joining us shortly, so I'll read the memo. Background. The Department of Legislative Services reported in January 5th, 2022 that the Calvert County Public Schools procurement policies are inadequate and inconsistently applied. Other contractor payments include unsupported and inaccurate costs. The report also found that CCPS, Calvert County Public Schools, needs better internal controls and accountability in payroll, information systems, and healthcare claims processing. Board of County Commissioners asked the last Board of Education to agree to a reasonable scope of work for a performance audit. For issues beyond the county's control, agreement could not be reached. The Board of County Commissioners exercised its independent authority for the State Department of Education to contract for a performance audit of the practices of Calvert County Public Schools. A performance audit is an assessment of practices to determine whether the entity or program is operating economically and efficiently, and whether corrective actions are appropriate. The State Department of Education solicited vendors to conduct a performance audit of Calvert County Public Schools in December of 2023. In April of 2024, Premier Group Services, Inc. was under contract to perform the work. Premier conducted the audit according to generally accepted government auditing standards as promulgated by the Government Accountability Office and Section 5-110 of the Education Article. Premier used a random sample of 40 procurement actions by Calvert County Public Schools in fiscal year 2022, 40 procurement actions in fiscal year 2023, analyzed and determined whether procurement actions were appropriate and aligned with Calvert County Public School policies, local statutes, and regulations. As a result of the information, Premier was provided the interviews and analysis. Several recommendations were made, including enhancing the compliance with procurement policies through structured training checklists and internal reviews, improve operational efficiency in areas such as nutrition services to mitigate financial losses, and leverage best practices and industry standards for governance and operational enhancements. Representatives of Premier Group will be joining us to answer questions. Fiscal impact. The total cost of the audit will be borne by the county taxpayers. I left out taxpayers in the memo. The task order agreement issued by the state included a not-to-exceed amount of $90,801. Conclusion recommendation. This is a presentation of the final audit report of the Calvert County Public Schools from the Premier Group Services and is an opportunity for the board to ask any questions you may have of the auditor's representatives.
So we're waiting for them to connect in?
I don't have a screen in front of me, but we do have their presentation.
Hi, Ms. Maurice, I'm online
They're coming.
services. Can you hear me, Ms. Maurice?
Sorry, your microphone is not picking, or our speakers are not picking up your sound very well.
There we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
Hello?
Hello,
Hey.
can you
Morning.
hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope everybody is doing well. Just let me know when you're ready for me to present the slides.
We need, they're working on getting you up on screen here.
Okay. We're ready.
Okay. Okay, we're ready.
Okay. All right, let me share my screen. Good morning, everyone. This is Hayanchi from Premier Group Services, and today we're gonna give you a debrief for the CCPS performance audit. Slides, and for today's report, we're gonna talk about from the scope and objectives, the applicable regulation and the guidance we have used in the audit process, what is the status of prior year findings and current year findings. And lastly, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to let us know. So the first, the scope of this audit is including examining the status of findings from the Financial Management Practice Audit Report dated January 25, 2022, and also including the preparing comparative analysis and examining direct procurement for the fiscal years 2022 and 2023. And the objectives here is to prepare a comparative analysis per the scope and also propose the recommended corrective actions, recommendation enhancements, or improvements that where it is applicable, and to identify potential efficiencies or procedures that will lead to the cost savings in all direct procurements. And the applicable regulations and guidance we have used, including the GAGAS and Compliance Attestation Pronouncement SSAE number 10, and Maryland Code 5-110 of the Education Article and MSDE TOREF. And we also, as you notice in the report, when there is applicable, we also apply the CFR. And for the audit process, the entire audit stage, including planning, fieldwork, and reporting. And the more detailed process we have applied is we have prepared the audit from April 2024, and we conduct an entrance conference and ask auditor to provide the PVC required list. And once we require the PVC documentations, we'll review them and conduct the sample selection. And we give the certain time period for auditee for CCPS to prepare the sample support documentations. And once we receive the sample support documentations, we conduct the audit field work. And then once we have finalized the field work, we have conducted the exit conference, sent over the preliminary findings, draft a report, and collect their response, and including the management response in the final report. For the prior year findings status, there were total 9 findings. And out of these 9, there are 2 are repetitive in this year, current year audit findings. And 2 of them, they both are related to the procurement. And we're going to talk more detail in the next slides for the current year findings. So the number 1 finding 2024-001 is one of the repeated findings that the CCPSS procurement policies incorporated certain requirements of state laws and recognized the best practice when participating in intergovernmental cooperative purchasing agreements, as we call ICPA. And however, these were not put into practice. And then the second repetitive findings we have here is also related to the procurement. CCPS didn't always obtain board approval for purchases exceeding $25,000 as required by its policy. The supporting executive contract, the competitive bidding, and the suspension and debarment check were not provided to all the samples selected. And the last finding we put here is related to the food service. The CCPS Child Nutrition, which is CN program, could improve its financial outcomes. And more details you can find in the report. But with that, that's a quick summary for the audit report. Is there any questions, concerns?
Questions?
You want to start?
Commissioner Cox?
Yeah, I'll start. So on findings 2024-002, purchases over $25,000. Did some of them purchases go $1,000 over? Did some go $5,000 over? What was the mean, I guess, in going over? And should that $25,000 be raised, in your opinion?
So per the CFR, the requirement 25,000, it is a threshold that for the procurement, any purchase above this amount that they do requires the bid analysis, competitive analysis, and vendor check. But for anything below, it is, depends on the organization's self-control, what they have, internal control. And for the CCPS, they do have, like, for different level of purchase, they have set up the different requirement, the level, different title of person to provide approval, review and approval.
So through.
Can I follow up?
Yep,
On that question there? So how many vendors did the school district procure service contracts or materials from in excess of the 25,000? And you said that the sampling size was 40. So out of the 40 that you sampled, how many were above the 25,000 mark? And is this if this is a relatively, I guess, basic board policy, if it wasn't adhered to, would you recommend that regular internal reviews be conducted to ensure that all board policies are followed?
So first of all, the specific number above 25,000, we have to go back to the work paper to check that. But and to answer your second section of the question, that yes. So we do recommend that they do the internal review when, and I think we mentioned that in our report that we recommend they conduct a yearly internal audit, to prevent this recurrence of the findings.
Okay, so the I'll follow up later on the first part of that question.
I was going to say, we can actually provide you, we will send you a follow-up with the number of vendors that were over the 25,000, the amount and the number, because I think those were two of the questions that you guys asked. So we will definitely send a follow-up about those.
All right, thank you.
And the 40 samples, what, do you know what percentage of their total purchases that is?
We can also provide that. Do you have that off the top of your head, Ian, or we would
No.
also need to follow up? We can provide that as a follow-up to your, so we've noted your 3 questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cox, you got anything?
And one last question. On the 3 recommendations you gave us, could you expand on the last one which says leverage best practices and industry standards for governance and operational enhancements? Could you expand on that a little bit?
Yes. So, go ahead, George.
No, I was gonna say, I'll let you start and then I'll add if I need to.
Okay. So for each findings, we have table in the report that to explain what's the best practices. So that's why we incorporate that in our recommendations.
Yes, and so for best practices, we're saying, look, we've provided some feedback on what we see, but there are, from other industry sources, there are best practices that can be incorporated into CCPS's policy. So for example, to go back to your question about the 25,000, we don't think it should be raised because that is an industry standard. Anything more than that, if you start to raise it to 30 and 35, then it could possibly be issues of conflict of interest. You're not getting the most efficiency in the contracts if you start to raise the limit. So that would not be one of our recommendations. So that's what we mean when we say looking at industry best practices as part of the recommendations.
The child nutrition program, you say could improve its financial outcomes. What is the problem? Are they not charging enough? Are they not using the best vendors to bring the food in? What is the problem?
There are 2 major issues. The number one is to answer your question, yes, they didn't charge enough. And the number 2 is the bank fees. And during our interviews, we do note that they have started using an automatic system to pass the banking fees, or, the service fees to the clients, to the parents or students, whoever purchased the meal. But before, they didn't have that system in place. So that fees, that expense has been eaten up by the CCPS itself.
Thank you.
Right, so, yes.
I had a question on that as well. I wasn't aware of the banking fees. I know that's pretty troublesome across the board, no matter what you do. I mean, there's some banks that charge churches for counting cash. That cracks me up. But I know that there are a lot of free and reduced lunches. Did you back that out of that equation? There's a lot of folks that a lot of times, unfortunately, the only food some kids get is at the school system. So did you back that out of that when you did that equation, or did you put that in there as well?
When we conduct the MPLH, yes, the lunch, everything is considered.
Because
yes, we did consider. So
Yes.
we did back it out. It was mostly so what we're saying is the people that were being charged weren't being charged enough, and between that and the bank fees, the combination of those 2 things caused the nutrition program to be at a loss.
I mean, I know food cost is up 30% across the country, so that makes
Exactly.
it challenging. But you didn't. So you're not recommending any interruptions in any of it. Just basically, and just if I have it wrong, just to basically maybe look for a different financial service providers. Is that what I'm hearing?
That is correct. And look at ones that are going to take into account either the volume, but find ways to reduce that fee. And this is even, so if you think about this, these findings are before food, or I guess before, during, and after when food cost increase. So it's not just the food cost alone. That is in there now, but at the beginning when this first happened, that wasn't an issue, because this is actually started during COVID.
Right. So food costs, you're finding that to be kind of comparable. It's just
Exactly.
and is it the way? Because I know kids don't bring cash to school anymore. Like in the old days, my lunch was 90 cents. You know, I got $1 and they handed out dimes all day long.
Right.
So is it because of the automated service that they're using in that? I mean,
Yes.
so
Yes, more for the most part, it would be yes, because now almost all of the bills are paid electronically. There's very little. I don't even think the school takes cash at this point anymore.
are they charging them the same as the way a credit card service does, where it's almost like a
So they-
swiping fee
they
and then a
weren't.
percentage?
So they weren't. They weren't before, and so all of that was just being eaten up by CCPS.
No,
You
no, I
guys were
mean-
paying for the good-
Uh,
Okay.
no, I'm sorry. I mean the financial services people. Are you're saying so they charge a percentage and a swiping fee basically as well?
Yes, yes, they charge both, and
So
that's why we're recommending that you look for other vendors.
are there other vendors out there? I mean, because you know that shell game they play. They'll say, well, you know, we'll get rid of the swiping fee, which by law they cannot. There's a built-in driver in there, but then they'll play games with the percentages. Have you seen examples across the state or what have you of something that maybe works directly with the school system or nonprofits or something that's a little softer or a little kinder maybe?
Yes, we have seen that, and we've also seen just the other side of that, which is the fees just being passed to the consumer, whether it's the student, their parents. They're now having to pay that fee. It's being incorporated either as a percentage or just as a flat amount.
Because school lunch is really not that cheap anymore, and you know to keep passing it on, you know, like everything else gets tougher. So do you have recommendations in some of your findings where maybe you would suggest we look into?
We did not provide those, but when we send our follow-up, we can give you some of the ones that we've seen our other clients use.
Because the easy thing in today's world is just keep passing it down to mom and dad or to the consumer, and at some point, you know, the wallet just runs dry, and you don't want to. When like going back to say, sometimes the only food these kids get is in the school system, and being that the parents are running everywhere, not everybody is making the traditional home meal. So I want to make sure we don't do anything that discourages them getting maybe the most nutritious food that they get during the day is at that school.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Thank you.
So according to the Department of Legislative Services Office of Legislative Audits, a performance audit is designed to evaluate whether an agency or program is operating in an economic, efficient, and effective manner. Going back to page 5 of the report, the scope of the audit was to identify potential efficiencies or procedures that would lead to cost savings in all direct procurements. Specifically, what potential efficiencies were identified and what is the associated estimated cost savings with that?
So these are related to the procurement and the deficiencies that what we identified has noted in the finding 001 and 002. And for the specifically to how much exactly the cost saving amount that we cannot provide that, it's just basically, it's just simply just because it's the nature that because the premise now, what their practice now is that they have the policy in place, but they didn't fully implement it. So that just leads the current all the transactions that they do have, you know, they have room, but we only can tell that from the sample we selected, how much they could save if we list them as question costs. But for the potential, the cost savings for all, how much it impacted, that we cannot give exact number.
So it would be basically a guesstimate off the percentage of the sampling that was done?
Yes.
Okay. Page 5 of the report mentioned performing a comparative analysis to a peer jurisdiction. The majority of the school district's costs are salaries and employee benefits totaling about 80%. However, I did not see any mention of a review of staffing ratios to comparable size school districts. Was that a reasonable expectation of the audit?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat what page?
Page 5. the majority of the school district's costs are salaries and employee benefits totaling 80%. However, I didn't see anywhere in there where there was a mention of a review of staffing ratios to comparable sized school districts. The only ratio that I saw or comp was to PG County, which is not similar size to our county.
Yes, so for the 80%, that is just for the peer comparison.
So,
Okay, were
We
any
can give you
comparisons
more.
done to
We
look?
can-
Go ahead.
Yes, we can give you more. When we do our follow-up, we can send you the follow-up information about the other peer, I guess, districts that we compared you to besides PG County.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it. And going back to the internal reviews, was there, I know we have an annual audit, I get that, but was there a recommendation on changing that to like quarterly or semi-annually or anything like that? Was there a recommendation on how often those reviews should be done internally?
So the recommendation is that it's done at least semi-annually. It doesn't need to be an audit per se, but just, it could even be an internal review of.
Correct.
Yes, just a monitoring of where you are, so that by the time you do get to the audit, you have confirmation. You can, and then you can also ask the auditors to confirm that this is what's happening.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anybody else?
Oh, I have one thing. This is good information. We've spent money on this, and now I would like consensus to, within the next month, discuss the findings of this audit with the superintendent and the Board of Education, and reach agreement on a timeline for implementing those changes necessary to address the findings of this audit.
I would agree with that. Was that a motion?
Motion, yeah.
Second.
Yeah. So I have, don't have a motion right in front of me. I have a motion and a second that we reconvene in a time appropriate period in the near future with the superintendent and the Board of Education to go through these recommendations and put together a timeline or look at what that process looks like to make these corrections. Am I fairly summarizing your motion?
Yes.
Mr. Reza? Thank you. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we thank you, ladies, for the report today, and we'll be looking forward to the follow-up. And if we have other questions, we'll be reaching out.
So I do have a question.
Uh-oh.
If we do that within 30 days, do you think the follow-up questions that you guys are going to have addressed by then, or?
We plan to get back to you with the follow-up answers by the end of this, today is Tuesday. We plan to get to you by the end of this week.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'd appreciate any backup information that you probably have, so we don't have to keep asking. So
No,
I'm
problem at
I'm
all.
sure it's a lot, but whatever you can share with us might be helpful.
Okay.
All right? Well, thank you, ladies, and you have a good day.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is an award for Employee Recognition Committee for the 2024 Employee of the Year.
Good morning, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Wes LaPrave, the retiree member of the Employee Recognition Committee, and I'm here to introduce the Calvert County Government 2024 Employee of the Year. The Employee of the Year is chosen from among all the employees of the month, and included in that group, the Pride and Quality winners throughout the year. Our Employee of the Year for 2024 is Mr. John Silcox from the Technology Services Department. John, please make your way forward. You get the police going up in the corner. Yeah. There are few people in county government whose work directly affects the productivity of nearly every county employee or work group or department. John is one of those. Back in March 2024, well after normal working hours, John discovered an unexpected server error which caused an outage in the main storage subsystem. What that means basically is no one gets to work. The system affected the computer drives, holding the shared files for each employee, the work groups, and their departments, basically everything that our automated systems depend on. His swift action and escalation of the problem in collaboration with the contracted vendor brought the right troubleshooting skills to bear. In summary, John's exceptional performance during the storage system failure incident exemplifies his outstanding dedication, expertise, and leadership qualities. His contributions were invaluable in minimizing this major disruption and ensured the swift restoration and recovery of critical services. As his department head, Stephen, noted, it's worth mentioning that such dedication is typical for John. He consistently monitors the network and has repeatedly addressed emergencies throughout his tenure on the network team, no matter the time of day or night. The work initiatives that he and his team have undertaken to prevent this from recurring are noteworthy. His work, a plan, the modernization planning of the data storage systems, and the proposals to improve the system's recovery strategies, these procedures are already underway. And in recognition of his exceptional performance, professionalism, and dedication, John Silcox has been selected as the Employee of the Year for 2024. And I know there are people here willing to. Stephen, are you? Yeah.
So it is with great pleasure that we're here to recognise John Silcox's brilliant work. I mean, I do sleep easy at night knowing that John's out there and waking up in the middle of the night to fix things. He responds 24/7. He's frequently on scene before people even know that there's a problem. In fact, he was out fixing an outage with some wireless WAN just this weekend. Thank you, John. As Wes said as well, excellence is a routine for John. He won the Pride and Quality this year, as well as in 2022. He is easily our most technically competent network supervisor that we've ever had. And before him, we've had some really good ones, including Rob Denton, who was our Employee of the Year 2022, and Kat Poff, who is our CISO, and she's also the runner-up in the Cyber Warrior Woman of the Year for Maryland. So he's had some pretty tough, the bar's been set high, and John's come in and pushed it beyond that. So thank you so much for that, John. And John is just not a technically competent person as well. He's also a master negotiator. 2 years ago, he won Pride and Quality for his negotiation skills in the phone system. And just most recently, we are rebuilding the data center in the cab. And John was able to acquire a new storage area network system. Usually retails at $12 million, and John was able to get it for less than $2 million. So if anyone needs anything negotiating in the near future, you
John,
know
I
who
got
to
some work
ask.
for you.
Yeah, good thing he doesn't get a percentage of the savings. But if he does, then his director would also need to be included in that. But thank you so much for the work that you do, John, and for the way that you represent TS. Keep up the fantastic work. Thank you.
So, John, before I give you this, my technical knowledge is unplug it and plug it back in. And if that doesn't work, I guess you got to throw it away, And, when these things pop up, that out-of-the-box thinking, people go, well, how do you do that? You can only do that if you truly know what you're doing. Out-of-the-box only works when you can draw from experiences of other problems and things like that. And when you're on the spot like that, you got to have it. There's sometimes it's just not in a book. So we definitely thank you because, in today's world, everything's great when it works. When that stuff works, it's great. When it don't, you're out of business. So thank you so, so much. And as Commissioner Nutter always said, the most important thing about it is the check. So, do you want to say anything?
First off, Commissioners, I just wanted to thank you for the award and presentation. I want to thank my department, Stephen, Rob, Kat, my team, who are most of them are here. I want to thank Lee, my better half, who was also able to come here today. And share this with us. So, thank you.
You want her?
Yeah, come on up.
Yeah, I didn't tell her about that part.
He left that out. All right. Great. Come on up.
Thanks for sharing.
I'm afraid of Catherine, you know.
Three, two, one. Congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for sharing.
Nice to meet you.
Congratulations. Thank you again.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
So the next item on the agenda today is consent. We have 5 items under consent today. Department of Public Safety, First Amendment to Lusby Tower Lease Agreement, New Singular Wireless PCS, AT&T. Item 2, Department of Public Safety, Solomon's Volunteer Rescue Squad and Fire Department, Ambulance 38 Transfer Title. Item 3, Department of Public Works, Department of Natural Resources, Access Request for Stream Surveys. Item 4, Department of Community Resources, Property Surrender Request for 6033 Daybreak Drive, Prince Frederick, Maryland, 20678, to Calvert County Government. Item 5, Department of Planning and Zoning, Forest Conservation Tree Coupon and Grant Report for 2024. Are there any objections to those items listed under consent today?
I have none.
Have none.
I move that we adopt and approve the consent agenda items.
Second?
I have a motion and a second that we adopt those items under consent today. Is there any discussion on that motion?
None.
Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda today is new business, Department of Community Resources, Commission on Aging bylaws.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My apologies. Good morning, Commissioners. Ed Sullivan, Division Chief of the Calvert County Office on Aging, representing the Calvert County Commission on Aging this morning. We do have a member of the Commission on Aging with us in the back for moral support. Appreciate her being here. Quickly, the Commission on Aging recently wanted to make some adjustments to the bylaws, as you can see. And with your permission, I'll go through those bullet points, answer any questions you might have. The Commission on Aging works collaboratively with the Department of Community Resources Office on Aging to serve older adults in Calvert County. Recently, the Commission on Aging reviewed its bylaws and are recommending changes which they believe will better serve its citizens. To better serve Calvert County's older adults, the Commission on Aging discussed and approved recommending the following changes to its bylaws. Bullet point 1, Article 3, Membership, Section 1, Membership Enumerated. They added the italicized verbiage to the statement, regular members hereinafter referred to as members shall not number more than 16 people who shall have voting privileges and shall all be residents of Calvert County or maintain a principal place of business in Calvert County unless membership is designated by virtue of representation of a designated entity or stakeholder position. Quickly, I'll go through the rationale behind that if it's okay with you. As you know, there are some members of the Commission on Aging who are not residents of Calvert County. However, because of the agency they represent, they do business in Calvert County. Tri-County of Southern Maryland, we have a member who serves with transportation on the Transportation Committee. It's good to have her input and insight, as this is important to senior citizens in Calvert County, as you know. We also have a representative who represents the disabilities community. And this person does not reside in Calvert County, but this person, represents that community to our citizens. So while they don't reside here, certainly the work that they do impacts Calvert County citizens' transportation with Tri-County and the disabilities community. Bullet point 2, Article 3, Section 2, Term of Membership. Change regular membership criteria from 2 consecutive terms of 4 years each to 3 consecutive terms of 4 years each. I'll quickly discuss the rationale behind this bullet point. First of all, as you all know, and it's good for the public to know, that no one on the Commission on Aging receives any monetary benefit whatsoever, and that's important to point out. So this is just, but this does extend their term of service, and part of the reason, the rationale behind it, was because after they're appointed to learn the ins and outs of county government, to learn the Calvert County Office on Aging, it takes a little bit of time to wrap your head around county government, as you all well know. So to lengthen the term of service, and the wheels of government turn slow, as you all know, so they are recommending to have 1 more year of service on the commission so they can have a better feel for county government and certainly the Office on Aging. Article 3, Section 2, term of membership, add the statement, notwithstanding the foregoing, the local elected official member described herein below in Section 3 shall have no fixed term or terms, but rather shall serve at the pleasure of the Board of County Commissioners. We have an elected official who serves on the Calvert County Commission on Aging, our Register of Wills, and she serves at the pleasure of you all. And of course, you all have the permission and the right to certainly remove that individual, although I don't know why you'd want to. But this person certainly serves at your pleasure, and you can remove this person as you deem appropriate. So rather than have a term, you all can appoint whoever you'd like to serve on the Commission on Aging.
Are you happy with her?
Very happy, very happy.
You're happy, we're happy. How's
Well,
that?
we'd love to keep her around for as long as she would like.
So she's not a troublemaker, huh?
Not at all, no, sir.
Okay, Just
No,
check.
sir.
I'm surprised.
She's the best.
And she's in the audience.
Yeah.
Ms.
Hi,
Margaret
Ms.
Phipps, Register of Wills. Good morning.
I feel confident about that recommendation, so. Finally, Article 5, Officers, Section 1, enumeration, election and term of officers. Change the term of office as 12 months to the term of office shall be 2 years. The same philosophy and rationale behind what was previously discussed. There's no fiscal impact to the county. The recommendation, the Department of Community Resources Office on Aging Division requests that the Board of County Commissioners review and, if appropriate, authorize changes to the bylaws as recommended by the Calvert County Commission on Aging. Do you have any questions for me?
When was the last time you did a review of the bylaws?
I checked, it's been since 2014 since they were officially signed.
Well,
So,
it's not too bad.
I just want to say, Ed, thank you for what you do and your whole staff, what they do for the older population of Calvert County.
thank you, Commissioner Cox. It's a privilege. We understand that. Thank you.
Good,
I
Ed,
just
as
wanted to
well.
echo that too, Ed. You know, I got a big expression, I always say, you can pay somebody to do a job, right? There's a price, say, to do this, but you can't pay people to care. And you have always cared, and your staff has. We are so, so lucky because sometimes, seniors don't have anywhere else to turn to, and you keep those facilities clean, respectable programs. So tell everyone down there also too, just thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hart. Thank you, Commissioners. We do our best. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate what you do for seniors.
I do too.
We have a great staff, and we truly have a great staff. And I know a lot of people say that. I know we have a great staff.
You do,
We-
you do.
Very little turnover. People are dedicated. We know we're not perfect. We can certainly improve, but I know we're good.
Right.
And I know we're good. Thank you for your support. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
I send people to you all the time because I know you're going to take care of them.
And Jen's back there quiet. Jen, we know you're part of this as well.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Couldn't do it without Jennifer.
And Ms. Phipps is going to be on the commission for the next 20 years, you think?
We hope, as long as she would like.
At least. At least.
So, any other questions?
I have a motion, Mr. President. I move that we approve the changes to the bylaws recommended by the Calvert County Commission on Aging and authorize the president to sign the bylaws on behalf of the board.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
So that brings us to a work session, Office of the County Administrator, Capital Improvement Plan, FY '26 through FY '31 for the Board of Education. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Danielle Russell, and I'm the Acting Capital and Grants Management Specialist with the Office of the County Administrator. To my right is Shachita Warner, Director of Planning and Construction for Calvert County Public Schools. I will forgo reading the memo and jump into our presentation if there are no objections.
Good. Good morning.
This presentation is the fourth in a series of work sessions to inform the BOCC of the 6-year capital improvement plan costs as part of the staff recommended budget and seek the BOCC's input and direction on those projects. Today's focus will be on the Board of Education. There we go. As a reminder from the overview presentation, this chart is a high-level look at the total value of the staff recommended FY 2026 6-year capital improvement plan with the FY 26 requests on the right. On the left are the totals approved in the FY 2025 capital budget. The percent change is shown in the center column. Looking at just the Board of Education projects, the FY 26 request had a 15% increase from the anticipated funding request in FY 2025's capital improvement plan. So this presentation is a little bit different. The schools receive funding from the state that we're able to calculate into the overall budget request. Code of Maryland Regulations establishes the criteria for calculating the formula for the state of Maryland's participation in the eligible costs associated with public school construction. Each fiscal year, a request is made by the Board of Education to review the upcoming fiscal year's capital improvement program requests and sign the Interagency Commission on School Construction IAC letter of support. The BOCC approved and signed the Interagency Commission on School Construction letter on October 29, 2024. The Interagency Commission on School Construction, I need to just abbreviate that, included a presentation of FY 26 75% capital improvement program staff recommendations on December 19th. FY 26 90% capital improvement program staff recommendations were presented on the February 13th, 2025 agenda. So to the right there are the 4 projects that were submitted as part of that letter. State requests in the left column, local requests in 2 columns over from that. Based on the IAC's 90% recommendations, which are pending the governor's budget approval, recommended allocations are 100% of our requested funding for the Northern Middle School construction project. The other 3 projects did not have funding recommended for FY 2026. For the Mary Harrison Center's partial HVAC equipment replacement, they requested an increase to the maximum state award for the project from $338,800 to $567,903 and an application of $229,103 in LEA reserve funds to the FY 2025 CIP project. This was approved by the IAC, so the project no longer needs additional state funding through the FY 2026 CIP, and it was rescinded from their 2026 CIP submission. The Plum Point Middle Curtain Wall and Skylight Replacement Project will be pulled, and the BOE will try requesting this funding from the state again next year. The remaining project requiring additional county funds is the Sunderland Elementary School HVAC system, which still shows $0 in the IAC's recommended funding. Shachita is working with county staff to see if any remaining funds in closing projects can be reallocated to the fund to fund the other $784,000 or risk losing an MEA grant. So we are
How much is
looking
the
at-
grant?
Pardon?
How much is the grant?
About $1 million.
Okay, so it is almost a 50-50 split for the grant and the local funding. So
I
we
had
are
to
looking
ask
at-
because sometimes it's like, oh, we'll give you $3.
It's about
Yes.
$987,000, so
Yeah, good.
very close to $1 million.
So for FY 26 projects, Northern Middle School replacement. This is a full modernization and replacement of outdated 1976 facility, including instructional space and major building systems. This includes IAC funding and then $13.57 million in Built to Learn BTL Act funds through the Maryland Stadium Authority. Mary Harrison Visual and Performing Arts Center, HVAC system replacement and installation of an independent heating plant separating it from the Northern Middle system. This project is fully funded in FY 25 at the state level, so no additional FY 26 funding is needed. Only local contribution is being requested now in FY 26. Sunderland Elementary School HVAC system, replacement of a 38-year-old air handler, terminal equipment, and pneumatic controls. This includes the electrification of boilers and a building automation system conversion through an MEA decarbonization grant. $784,000 is still required for FY 26. We're exploring reallocating remaining funds from closing projects to avoid risking MEA grant funding.
Danielle, you said 784?
$784, that was the state request. So the local request is still the same. We're looking at closing projects for this fiscal year to see if we can cover that 784
And that's
with
just for
projects.
air handler?
No, it's actually, it would be a full system replacement except for, there was a kindergarten rooftop and chiller that was replaced in FY 2023. Other than that, we are taking care of all of the equipment. We were lucky enough to get that MEA grant because we actually, for the heating system, we have a 10,000 gallon underground fuel storage tank that is original to the building, and it's getting extremely, almost impossible to get insurance on that. So we knew that we needed to make provisions, and we were able to capitalize on this grant, and we were able to put a lot of other scope in there. So we think it's a win-win, but it will take care of that fuel tank issue. It will take care of really replacing pretty much all of the equipment will be new in that building at that point.
So we own that tank?
Yes, we do own that tank. I think all of the underground fuel storage tanks we do own. And in terms of propane, I'm not sure if we rent any of those tanks from Southern Maryland Oil or if we own them. I would have to refer to maintenance, but all of the fuel storage tanks we do own.
Okay, and then the last project is playground equipment replacement. This is a recurring project focused on replacing existing playground equipment with inclusive and accessible features.
How many schools are we catching on the playground equipment? Is that just a single school, or is that multiple schools, or?
350,000, unfortunately, will get us one school. We may have some reserves left over to be able to then roll into another playground project, but they do end up with the pour-in-place surface, which is ADA accessible. They end up being around $325,000, $350,000.
And what school is getting this one?
We are, for this particular allocation, we're looking to do the big playground at Plum Point Elementary School. The kindergarten playground was done last year, and so this will complete everything required at Plum Point.
And I will make a note that the totals on this page do differ slightly. This is reflecting the IAC's 90% recommendations. That's the only reason that's different from that third slide. We talked at our last work session about showing out-year funding for projects where you are approving something that would require funding in future years. Northern Middle School is an ongoing multi-year project. So we have FY26, this year's recommendation, as well as FY27 and FY28 recommendations. And then playground equipment is a recurring annual ask, so we have a couple of years of that funding as well.
And Shashi, the state funding for that, is that also phased in over the years?
You're talking about Northern Middle School. It is, they request a cash flow so that they can project what they anticipate they will need to fund. We typically do not get most of our state funding in 1 year or even 2 years. For larger projects, it could be 3 or 4 years.
Any additional questions?
Are you done with the slides?
Yes, I am.
Oh, so what we discussed earlier, I mean, being we're talking CIP, and of course, do we have a plan in place for those handicap bathrooms I've been talking about?
So the field houses,
Well, I know that's one piece, so I'll listen to that as well.
okay, so the field houses, we have Patuxent High School design was approved last year. Construction request in FY27. Calvert High School design request is in FY27 with a renovation request in FY29. Huntingtown High School design request in FY28. So all of the high schools are covered in the out-year funding. When it comes to portable toilets for interim solutions, so we do need to reach out to the school board about what we discussed with getting accessible bathrooms at the athletic fields. And then Calvert County Parks and Recreation does provide portable toilets for the schools where they also use the fields, and that tends to be elementary and middle school. The high school uses their fields enough that they don't necessarily get to use them for the CCPR.
Because the problem with those is a lot of the ones I've seen, they're not handicap accessible.
The portable toilets? No, they wouldn't be.
So how do we solve that? I've been asking for years. I
They make
mean,
handicap accessible portable toilets.
they do, but we don't have those. And, I mean, I'm talking at the high school, I mean, I've been asking for years. It's been that, and I keep going back to Patuxent because I drive by it all the time, so it's relevant. It's that same blue one out there. The pathway to get to it, I don't know how somebody in a wheelchair would, and they couldn't use it. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, even with the placement of the field houses, which is a couple years out before it would even be there, I don't even think that's close to that area, right? Isn't that more so over closer to the football field?
The
Then-
field house would be planned closer to the football field.
And you know how far that is. If you go, that's at the top of when you first come in. So, you first come in, not only is it baseball, it's softball. They do other things, other sports over there. So that's right there when you first, soon as you hit school property, it's right there. And that football field's all the way over there. I mean, we have to solve this. I mean, I hate beating a dead drum, but we have to solve this.
I think that becomes, yeah, I mean, if we're really talking about trying to provide ADA toilets as, that are not portable, if we're talking about fixed structures, we would have to put in money in the CIP. And then if we were incorporating that, we'd have to make sure that any kinds of pathways, they would have to be accessible as well. So this would have to be a bigger conversation. I mean, unless we are talking about portable toilets.
But how do we justify a playground or anything else when, if somebody's handicapped has a child and they play a sport and they want to go see that child play, that we don't have a bathroom for them? I can't get past it, and I'm sorry, and I know I become the bad guy on this, but I'm at these fields all the time, all year long, and there are people, unfortunately, that they can't do what I can do. They are in wheelchairs, or they're older. We're an older population. I mean, I just don't know how we can spend millions and millions of dollars and we don't have bathrooms for folks. Am I wrong? Am I crazy?
No, isn't it a requirement now that?
I think it's a fairly easy fix if you reach out to whoever the contractor is and ask them how much a handicap portable toilet. Yeah. Ask them.
And not just those single ones. I mean, something that's big enough and a ramp to get into. I have personal friends that are in wheelchairs, and they have children that have played sports. I mean,
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, that would be outside of a CIP conversation. That would be an operational and a recurring cost. So, if we're talking about trying to
Short-term
address that issue, that's what that would be. It would have to be an operational
But
budget.
long-term, they're gonna be included in the field houses, correct?
but they're
They
not
will
going to
be,
be close.
yes.
But it's still not going to be and I can't speak to what's there, 22 schools. I can't speak to all that. I can only speak to the ones I see all the time. That's not going to solve that distance.
Is there an
So you're
ADA
saying-
requirement?
I thought federal law is you had to provide.
Only if you are doing a project that, is going to occur in that area, then you have to bring it up to ADA. But
So
they're
does
grandfathered at this point.
athletics count as a project? I mean, games and practices and things of that nature?
I think you would have to be doing major work to that field in order to be, to trigger the ADA requirement. I mean, that's why, historic buildings that exist, until and unless you do work, they are grandfathered in. So it's a similar issue, and it's a similar way that these existing facilities are treated.
Could you check into that for us and see if they are available? They've got to be available.
The portable toilets that are ADA accessible?
Yes,
So
and
the
what the cost is.
Superintendent's gonna be here soon with his budget request. Just prepare him, because the question's gonna come up when he comes
Sure.
in, and that way he'll have the information to provide.
I mean, I've been asking, and even as far as like Patuxent, we have water and sewer run there. I mean, they even make units that can hook up to stuff like that. And
So to clean your question up, Mike, so you're saying one field house in between the two fields is adequate or is not?
well, I mean, as
Between
long
the
as it's a
baseball and
distance,
the,
you know,
and the
whatever's an
football field.
adequate distance, you know, to that somebody who is handicapped can get there. I mean, you know, a baseball game can go hours. You know, it's not like they're just there for 30 minutes. I see the millions and millions of dollars we put into the school systems, and to me, these are just, it's about dignity. I mean, so you're just not going to go to your child or your neighbor's event because there's not a bathroom. I can't get past that in this county. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be difficult, but I bring it up every year, and every year we're still right here, and I just want to know if we're going to fix it, then let's fix it. If we're not, I'd like to have an answer. Hey, Mike, we're not going to fix it and shut up about it, because I mean, I just think it's dignity. I mean, I just don't know why we can do all these other things and we don't have a bathroom that for someone can use.
And Mike, what you are also saying on top of the bathroom that they can use is the sidewalk to get there.
Yeah, you have to be. I mean, I don't know if you've
exactly.
seen.
So
It's gravel. It's dirt. It goes like this. I mean, that porta potty, that blue one that I see, even if it was wide enough and it's not, they couldn't get a chair into it anyway.
Yeah, I think that would be the bigger challenge. I think having porta-johns that are accessible is one thing, but, you know, say for example, I'm just thinking about, say, like Northern High School, a lot of the fields, you know, it's a very long and narrow site. I mean, you're
Have to
talking
put it on the
hundreds
sidewalk.
of thousands of dollars. So, you know, I mean, we can do anything.
If you got the money.
Give me the money. I can get it done. You know, so I mean, it would have to be, you know, we would honestly, you know, that is part of the conversation. I mean, we can absolutely do anything. I think coming up with a plan, and I think that's why these field houses,
And I like that.
are
I
a
do.
start.
I like that. But once again, so I'm going right back to that field. If I think, and I think I know where that's going, there is a bathroom there now, and just a little bit over. And the field house is much needed. Please, I don't want to hear, oh, Commissioner Hart was squawking and we squashed them all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that just, you know, even I've seen middle school fields and things of that nature. We have even, and like, I hate a porta potty with a passion. I hate them. I think they're disgusting. Okay. But we have got to address this. I mean, I just don't know how we can look at any portion of our population and go, well, hey, sorry, you know, I mean, if we had some money, great, but if not, you can't go see your child play. I don't know. It is so important to participate in your child's activities. A million years ago, when I used to coach Little League ball, once a year we would go out to another jurisdiction and we would bring our teams and they would have their teams. And I would look on our sideline and there's mom and dad and there's aunts and uncles, this, that, and the other. And I look over there and I see no parents. And I would say to the coach, I'm like, where's the family? And he's like, that's why I buy this little mini bus or whatever and drive them around. Kids are much better off when they have a support system like that. And I remember my grandpa, before he passed, he was in a wheelchair. How would he go see? And I had cousins that were phenomenal in sports, and how would he go? I mean, I just, we're better than that.
So Commissioner Hart, we should save this discussion when the
Please,
superintendent's
yeah, I
here.
mean,
It's a little.
you know how
out of
passionate I'm
Shashitas.
about it. I just can't let it go.
Oh, sure. And I think just like with anything else, it's coming up with a plan, you know? I think that's what we would have to do, and I'll certainly communicate with the superintendent.
So in the short term, we're looking at porta-johns, accessible porta-johns, and what that would cost, and then potentially future conversations looking at what the
Well,
ADA
they have
requirements are for
porta-johns,
distance.
but not right.
She
Not,
understands. what you
Yes,
Yeah,
accessible porta-johns for ADA accessibility, and then in the future, what the distance would look like, whether or not
and how they
field
can
houses.
get to it. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Because we recently did an ADA plan for all our Parks and Recs resources. It was $20 million, I think. So it ain't cheap, but.
But
like
you got to
say,
start somewhere.
You got to plan for it.
Yeah, and
figure
you
out
got
a
to start
plan.
somewhere. And I've been asking, and that's all. Just want us to get started.
Yeah.
And perhaps if I could just add, I believe you had used Bureau Veritas for that accessibility.
Oh,
I think I just remember that because.
We can get you that
We can
information.
definitely get that information.
Well, I think the county had reached out to us because we had used them for an assessment about 10, 12 years ago. So if we could utilize them for our purposes, I think that would be helpful as well.
Yeah. But gotta start with a plan.
Yep.
And figure out the funding. Yeah.
Any
Okay.
further questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
So we still have our CIP form up, seeking input from the public. And then we will be back on March 4th to review some of the things that we've discussed in the overview presentations, and any other recommendations that you have for the commissioner's recommended capital improvement plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
So see, the temporary fix though, your contractor's probably gonna charge you $50 to $100 more for a handicap accessible one than a non-handicap accessible.
I would imagine so. It would have to be more expensive, but we can certainly look into that.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see if we can buy Parks and Rec.
Turn off. Okay.
Joe said that contract was 50.
Okay, so that brings us to public comment. Mr. County Attorney.
Thank you, sir. The board adopted a resolution in 1989 intending to maintain the order and decorum of the governmental process. A copy is found here to my right. Persons are welcome to address the Board of County Commissioners on any matter germane to the business of the county government. Those addressing the board shall not be uncivil, rude, vulgar, profane, or otherwise disruptive to the conduct of the board's business. All speakers must identify themselves, and whether speaking as an individual, where you be allocated 2 minutes, or as the designated representative of a group, where you be allocated 5. Nobody's attending virtually. The Ethics Commission has asked that we remind speakers of public comment that lobbyists include those who seek to influence public policy, and lobbyists must register in advance. Is there anybody here for public comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Joe Cormier, and I'll be speaking on behalf of myself this morning. Congratulations on your performance review results. $100,000 well spent. Rehashing a regularly scheduled audit on policies and procedures from a previous superintendent, CFO, and finance staff. Definitely in line with your fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayers. A fishing expedition, truly, based upon $25,000 spent on retirement staff awards because you stated time and again at public hearings that there was no claim of malfeasance, no criminal act. You just wanted to because you could. And when will the BOC be curtailing their morale, welfare, and retention program? Because y'all seem to have someone up here every meeting getting a plaque, coffee mug, and most importantly, what's in that envelope, right, Mike? You use this performance audit as a cudgel against CCPS staff and the BOE, quite literally as you held the fiscal 25 budget literally hostage at one point, only agreeing to, quote, fund CCPS after the seats subject to election this year are elected and sworn in, end quote. Not disclosing the thousands of dollars you personally contributed to the opposing campaigns in the CCRCC, which Commissioner Grasso ran under the first Trump administration. And it looks like the CCRCC, quote, doesn't have faith in the people to vote in who they want to vote in. They choose to manipulate the election instead, quote, of a nonpartisan BOE race. Nor did you disclose the events your private businesses sponsored for those candidates, but it's okay though because the ethics committee that you appointed with your comrades from CCRCC found you hadn't violated any ethical standards. This performance audit was used by the CRCC and Mark Fisher and out-of-state dark money organizations like the 1776 Project PAC to send mailers, text messages, and your investments paid off because now you own the BOE. Although after 2 months on the job, they haven't seemed to find any fraud, waste, or abuse, and in fact, they're looking to add multiple admin, teachers, and support staff because it turns out your skeleton crew budgeting, piss poor budgeting, hasn't been sufficient. Of course, I guess the CRCC owns you too. For President Hance had that meeting where you promised to return the fund balance to taxpayers, roll back the tax increase, and block any DEI construction projects. What's a DEI construction project, Commissioner Hance? So now that we're done, and I'll send you the rest. Have a great day.
Is there anyone else? Sir, there's still nobody online, so that's everyone.
Very good.
Thank you.
That brings us to Commissioner reports. Commissioner Cox.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attended the Tri-County reception this week up in Annapolis, and Calvert County was well recognized up there and well attended. That's all I have.
Good job. Commissioner Hart.
Well, we had the meeting the other night, and, I got to tell you, it's been a year of funerals in fires and people getting sick. And so this weekend, I was kind of running around doing some things. I looked at my boy and I said, let's just take a mini road trip. You see these folks that pass way too soon, and boy, it's just been a year. And just hoping that we've put that behind us for the year. We've had enough. We've had enough bad things for 1 year. Too many people close to us gone too soon. And I said, you know what, let's just take a little road trip, just me and him. And so it was a laid-back weekend.
Good for you. Mr. Russ?
Well, we had our zoning meeting on the 18th, on the 20th, the Southern Maryland reception in Annapolis, which is a great event to attend. And then Saturday, J.P. Shirkus, who was very involved in DACA, very involved in the Republican Central Committee, and a patriot, an Air Force, I forget, was he a major or lieutenant colonel? I mean, they said so many wonderful things about him. And I've known him for many years and learned so much more about him as a man, as a patriot, and as a human being. So he'll be greatly missed. And that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Arlen?
We continue to attend the MACO meetings and monitor the bills in Annapolis. It's going to be interesting where all that ends up. That's all I have.
No, jeez. So I too want to extend my condolences to the Shirkus family because
Yes.
JP was a great guy
He was always very, very kind to me.
and had no idea of his background until I read his obituary, unfortunately. And as you say, he was a great U.S. citizen, represented us well, and we're going to miss JP. So, and I am going to address an accusation was made that I had a private meeting and promised some people some things, and none of that is true. I can't control what people put on social media. We see lots of things on social media that aren't true, but some people like to believe everything they read on social media. I can't help that either. But I don't do social media for that reason, because people just throw stuff out there, whether it's true or not, and some people read it and believe it. So, and the performance audit, I don't think the jury's out on that yet, because today we only got the vague findings. We don't know what that really says until we get into the details. And so I don't dismiss as wasted money like some people want to say. I mean, some people thought it was a waste when we started and didn't even know the outcome. So why don't we just wait and see where the outcome is before we start saying we wasted taxpayers' dollars? But everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we'll just see how this all plays out before we say we've wasted any money. And with that, I will ask for a motion.
Yes, sir. I move that we recess to closed session pursuant to 3-3051 B1I to discuss the compensation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom the board has jurisdiction. 2, B4, to consider a matter that concerns the proposal for a business or industrial organization to locate, expand, or remain in the state. 3, B8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. And 4, B5, to consider the investment of public funds.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that we go into exec session. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Everyone have a great day.
Have a good day.